Okay, thought today I'd talk to you a little bit about early opposition to the Weimar Republic in Germany in the early 1920s. Right. Hopefully you remember that the Weimar Republic was not very popular amongst various groups within Germany at this time for a variety of reasons. Now, there was opposition to the Weimar Republic from two very different groups, and together they're known as either the left wing or the right wing. Now, these are terms that my students often get quite confused by, but in actual fact they're quite simple. So I thought I'd just start by just explaining to you what left and right wing meant in Germany at this time. So, start with the left wing. The left wing believed in equality. Everyone should be fair. Everything should be equal. They believed in giving power to the workers. They believed in abolishing private ownership of land, businesses and property in order to share it out and therefore make it equal, and therefore the workers would get a fair share. And they were also internationalists, and they wanted international cooperation between nations rather than nations themselves trying to make themselves strong at the expense of other countries. Now, at this time in Germany, when we say left wing, what we mean is socialists. And an extreme socialist is known as a communist. Now, they are both left wing, but a communist is an extreme left wing person. Now, they wanted a revolution in Germany, just like in Russia in 1917, where Lenin and the Bolsheviks had taken over and abolished the Tsar and created a proletariat revolution where they'd given power to the workers, apparently. Now, they disliked the Weimar Republic massively, the left wing, and they wanted to get rid of it and to give power not to the Republic and the politicians, but to the workers themselves. In addition, they blamed the Weimar Republic for Germany's defeat in the First World War, which is something they shared with the right wing. And they hated the Treaty of Versailles, which was shared by the right wing. The problem is, it's the Weimar Republic politicians who had signed the Treaty of Versailles, and they had signed the armistice. So many people saw them as being very, very guilty and to blame for Germany's current problems. Now, the supporters of the left wing are the workers. Equality, power to the workers, abolish private ownership and land, and internationalist. Together they're known as, sorry, I'm getting this the wrong way around because of the video camera. Together they're known as socialists, and extreme socialists are communists, and their supporters are the workers. Right. Now, the right wing, on the other hand, fun enough, the opposite. They believe in strong government. They believe in capitalism, i.e. that's private ownership of property and businesses and land. And they're nationalists, not internationalists, nationalists. And they believe that the nation, the country, is more important than the individual. Now, right-wing guys are often known as fascists, and in Germany the most right-wing group at the time were the Nazis, who we later study. Nazis and fascists are extreme right-wing. Now, they disliked the Weimar Republic politicians, and in particular the guys called the Social Democrats. It's good if you can use that, right, because it does show that you know some of the main political parties, and the Social Democrats were the main party in Weimar Germany at this time. And they blamed the Social Democrats, the right wing, for Germany's defeat in the First World War and for having to sign the Treaty of Versailles. And they felt that the Weimar Republic politicians had abandoned the German army. Now, the right wing absolutely hated communism with an absolute passion. That's quite important later on. And they hated the Treaty of Versailles. And they wanted to return to the Kaiser, the old king of Germany, and to make Germany great again. Now, whilst the left wing had the support of the workers, the right wing had the support of the army, businessmen, and landowners. Okay, and they're two very, very different groups. Now, it is quite important for this next topic because what we decided in Germany in the early 1920s is that there's opposition to the Weimar Republic from both the left and the right. Now, it's not just these two different views. What's very, very important is that they both had private armies, ex-soldiers. Now, the left wing had the Red Front fighters, and the right wing had the steel helmets. Now, in German, that's called Star Stahlhelm. I'm going to look at my notes for this one. I'm not even going to tell you what the Red Front Fighters is in German because it's just really hard to pronounce. But the steel helmets are the Stahlhelm, Sthlhelm. Personally, I think I'd just go with steel helmets. Much easier to spell. Now, the result of these private armies is that you've got murders and violence, political violence, by these two groups, these two armies. Now, there are two very important examples of these assassinations, this murder. The first one is Matthias Erzberger, 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 who signed the armistice in 1918. And he was shot and killed in 1921. And the second major assassination that's worth throwing into an answer to show some knowledge was a guy called Walter Rathenau, Rathenau, and he was the Weimar Republic foreign minister, and he was machine gunned to death in 1922. But it's not just these two guys that were killed. In actual fact, between 1919 and 1922 there were 376 political murders in Germany, and that just proves how unstable it was. Okay, so that's the background information. Right, so the first thing next thing to talk about is the Spartacist uprising. Now, my students get this confused. Are they left wing? Are they right wing? Who does what? Why does it fail? It's actually quite straightforward. The Spartacists are left wing. This is 1918, 1919. It's the first serious threat to the Weimar Republic. Bear in mind, it's only a few months old anyway. Now, there were various attempts to overthrow the Weimar Republic throughout Germany. But the Spartacist League, the Spartacist Uprising, is very, very important, and it was the first major one, as I said earlier. There were two leaders of it, Rosa Luxemburg and Karl Liebknecht, Leibenknecht, Liebknecht. I think I'll put it across the bottom for you. I hope I spelled it correctly. Now, in January 1919, there were communist uprisings throughout Germany, not just in Berlin, all right? And there were workers' councils and Soviets set up all across Germany by socialists. For example, in Bavaria, a communist people's government took over, and 100,000 communists demonstrated in Berlin, and they occupied key buildings. Now, the one in Berlin is the Spartacist uprising. All right, it's the most important one, led by Liebknecht and Rosenberg. Now, this is a major threat. At this time, the guy in charge of Germany, the Chancellor, was Ebert, E-B-E-R-T. Now, normally, if there's an uprising, you'd use your army to overthrow it. But the army in Germany was actually very, very weak. Don't forget the Treaty of Versailles actually, reduced it, and the Reichswehr, R-E-I-C-H-S-W-E-H-R, the government, the army, was just too weak to deal with this. It couldn't put down these threats. So Ebert had no choice. He turned to the Freikorps, F-R-E-I-K-O-R-P-S. Now, these were ex-soldiers. They were right-wing. They were massively, hugely anti-communist. They hated the communists. And they basically left the army, but they kept their guns and their weapons. And there were about 250,000 of them by 1919. So Ebert kind of goes, the Freikorps, listen, can you do me a favour? The Spartacists, there's 100,000 communists in Berlin. Can you help me sort them out, please? So the Freikorps rock up. Thousands of communists were killed and arrested in the putting down of the Spartacist uprising. Luxemburg and Liebknecht were arrested and murdered by the Freikorps, which is fairly harsh. Now, what's very important is that the right wing were used to put down the left wing. The Spartacists were left wing, the Freikorps were right wing. The Freikorps crushed the Spartacists. Now, this is evidence of the Weimar Republic being extremely unstable and weak. Now, despite the fact that the Spartacist uprising failed, the communists actually remained a very, 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 very powerful force in German politics. They're known as the KPD. All right. Right, I'll finish that one there, and I'll do another one for you on Cap Putsch.